everyone. Eve Harow, Rejuvenation on the Land of Israel Network. It is late in the evening on Monday, May 6, 2024. Holocaust Memorial and Heroes Day has just ended here in Israel. And it is now already the 29th day of Nisan, 5784, heading in for a new month, which, of course, we hope will be better maybe than the last month. It's been a very intense few days, Passover holiday, and then on Friday, we were told that enough of his DNA had been found to be able to say that Eliakim Libman of Kiryat Arba Hebron, who had been thought was a hostage in Gaza, was actually dead. He was one of the guards at the Nova Festival, and he was seen saving a lot of people and doing whatever he could, and then his tracks disappeared. And in a very unusual event, which shows you how much Israelis love life and how badly we want not just our hostages home, but we want the families to know what's going on. They started to exhume the graves of people who had been killed on October 7th in the fear, hope, whatever, that they would find perhaps that more than one person had been buried in a grave. It had happened before, and they found his remains in someone else's grave. They had been both burned very badly, and that's why the identification was so difficult. And they told the family, and I know the family, I'm going to be paying a condolence call there this week. He was buried in Hebron near the patriarchs and the matriarchs yesterday. And on the one hand, our hearts are breaking. On the other hand, and I know this sounds so insane, at least there's some closure for this family, because many of the families may never know what happened to their loved ones. And that kind of torture is exactly what our enemies want. It's not enough to just kill us. They need to humiliate us as well as part of the evil that they bring to this world. And it's just really astonishing and so upsetting how many people in the world have fallen for this and what we're seeing here. And I hope that wherever you live, you're fighting that, because it's not just our problem, it's everybody's problem. So I have with me today Yedidya Harush, who I've actually known for a long time, and he'll tell you how long in a while, who I've been following for the last few months, who lives down near Gaza. As a matter of fact, he warned me before we got on the line here that we might hear some explosions in the background, because he is very close to what is happening in Gaza and has been very involved from October 7th on. But just so we tell everybody how we met, first, Yedidya, and I have to say, they're not seeing it because we're just on audio, but you didn't have gray in your beard. Just last year. You've absolutely, so Yedidya Harush, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much. What a great honor to be on this incredible show, to be here and speak to you. Definitely brings great memories as we remember years ago when I used to hang out with your kids and in your basement, meet your two kids. Definitely great memories. And yeah, the gray on the beard is definitely something from the last few months. Mm-hmm. A lot carried on our shoulders.
So tell my listeners, you grew up in Gush Katif, yes?
Yes,
in Gaza.
Yes. I was born and raised in the southern end of the Gaza Strip. Half a year ago, maybe 8 months ago, if I said I was born and raised between Rafiah and Khan Yunis, people would say, what? Mm-hmm. Now everyone knows exactly where that is. Yeah, and that's where exactly where I was born and raised. My parents, who are big pioneers of Israel, came to live in Sinai back in the day after the peace agreement with Egypt. They were asked to move and rebuild the up-and-coming communities in the Gaza Strip. And they were asked to move by Ariel Sharon, back then was the Minister of Housing. And as big pioneers of Israel, they didn't say no and went and said Hineni and started building the community of Atzmona. And were part of the founding members and built these communities in Gush Katif for many years. And obviously, living in Gush Katif was always quite a challenge. And even though we went through difficult times as children, and we never thought to give up or said for the fact that we lived in Gaza. The opposite, we were happy to be in the front lines of Israel, to be doing what we were doing, and basically in 2005, the Prime Minister Ariel Sharon thought he was giving peace a chance by offering the Palestinians the entire Gaza Strip for nothing. And we had to leave our homes and leave everything behind, memories, childhood, and dreams.
Where did you go after your homes were destroyed and your livelihood?
Right before we were about to leave, they say in the Mishnah, Da me'ain bata ve'le'an ata olech. You should know where you came from and where you're going. That's another explosion, by the way.
Okay.
And where you're going. And we knew where we came from. We definitely didn't know where we were going. But then the disengagement happened, and we decided that despite all the challenges, all the anger, all the frustration we had towards the government, we were going to turn the page and continue our Zionistic roots and dreams in a place where we are needed. And although the government was offering at the time prime real estate relocation in the center of the country between Ashkelon and Ashdod in Nitzan, we decided that we want to go where we can make a difference, and we were sent here to the Chalutza sands by the government. We're talking about an area that was total desert, just sand dunes and sand dunes alone.
I don't even think there's archaeological remains there. I don't think anybody ever lived there. It was that barren. Right on the Egyptian border in the Negev, as far as you can go in Israel until you get into Egypt. Really zero. Yeah.
Egypt and Gaza, right?
Mhm.
The Rafah crossing is actually right here. I mean, we can see trucks all day coming in, getting frustrated while our hostages are inside. And it's right here. I mean, we're literally 150 yards from the Egyptian border. We're a few kilometers from the Gaza border. And we came here. There was nothing here, just sand dunes. And we started with a lot of faith, a lot of enthusiasm and vision, started building it. The first non-for-profit that actually took part with us was the Jewish National Fund from the United States, who partnered with us from day one, helping us develop the ground. And
they've been amazing. Medical centers, I mean, whatever you needed in order to be able to stay there. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the beauty of Jewish National Fund. They always asked us what is that we need to in order to achieve our joint mission, our joint vision of building the Negev. And it didn't matter. JNF is not known for being a religious organization, but we needed a synagogue. They helped us build the synagogue. When we needed a new farming business, they helped us develop the Young Farmers Incubator, which helped young farmers become farmers.
Right.
Or sports complex or a community center or a medical center, like you mentioned. And obviously now during the war with bomb shelters and security equipment, and it's just amazing. We started with 15 families, and slowly but surely we grew. Over the years, today we are over 400 families. We live in 3 different communities. Actually, the 3 first communities to return to the Eshkol region after being evacuated for so long. And living here feels incredible because you live a life that is filled with meaning. You live a life that every day when you wake up, you're making a difference for the state of Israel. You are amongst the pioneers of Israel, the builders of Israel. How many people can say, I was amongst the builders of new communities in Israel? Only very few. Many people already are not alive because it's been so many years ago. There aren't many new communities that are coming, and
unfortunately, yes, we'd like to see more, especially in Yehuda Shomron, but that's a different story for another podcast. Yeah, well, your family has definitely proven itself. I mean, from Sinai and then to Gush Katif and now to the southern Negev. You must be very, very proud of the way that you were raised, and your family must be very proud of you for following literally in their footsteps. It's not simple.
it feels very it feels incredible and such a privilege to be
Mm-hmm.
following the footsteps of my parents. And if I go back another generation, it's my grandparents who helped found a small town called Kiryat Arba.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Right near Hebron. So it's in your blood. It's in your blood. But on so okay. So what happens on October 7th? You guys are there. You're building the communities, and I have to say, every single time I come down there, I try not to come in July because it is very very hot. But when I come, I see all this produce growing, tomatoes and pineapples and things that never grew in the sand. And everywhere I look, it's now green and hothouses. What used to be sand dunes is just covered. And someone even told me it started raining more there than it used to, which doesn't make any sense, but makes all the sense in the world. And just to see that corner of Israel so flourishing. I know you live there and I know you see it every single day, but for those of us who come, just once every few months, it's really an incredible thing to see and very, very inspirational. But on October 7th, on Simchat Torah, are you there? You're at home in Shlomit?
Yes, yes. So amongst the highlight days of the year, obviously, as a community, I live in Shlomit. It's one of the three Chalutza communities, which is Bnei Netzarim, Nave, and Shlomit. And we're a young community with a lot of kids, so naturally the focus is mainly on the children. And now Simchat Torah is the holiday where you put a lot of focus on the kids. Kids
Right.
dance with their parents on their shoulders with the flag, with the Torah. They learn the Torah. They get a lot of candies, a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. And naturally, October 6th, Friday night, we go to shul. We still have a temporary shul. It's very small, but that night was very, very, very happy. A very happy night. A lot of singing and dancing. As a community, we danced and sang for 2 hours straight with our
Wow.
Torah. After 2 hours, we put the Torah back. We went home to eat a Friday night dinner, and we went to sleep. We went to sleep. And, usually, I wake up early this time. I slept through. Usually, I wake up at 10 to 6 this time. I woke up at 6:28, but it was the sounds of alarms and rockets and very loud explosions. Immediately, I jumped out of bed with my wife. We ran to our two daughters' room. We picked them both up and we ran to the safe room where our two other kids are sleeping permanently. We closed the window and the doors, and we're sitting on the floor.
Now, I don't want to say normal because getting bombs rained down, you should never be normal. But, when you speak to people like in Sderot or other communities a little further north, unfortunately, this was a weekly occurrence, if not more. But where you are in that little corner, is it that often that you would have rockets? You thought like, okay, this is just another round, or you realized that this was something more serious?
I'll tell you. The thing is that when we have rockets, we usually get some kind of an identification, like some kind of a notification.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a half hour or if it's a few days before, if it's something that goes on that we know what's going on. But this time was out of the blue, so it was very strange, and it kept going and going and going and going and going, and rocket after rocket after rocket after siren, and we hear the explosions, and 2 houses away from here, rocket falls and explode.
Oh my God.
And the kids are hysterically crying. They're sitting in the corner of the shelter, and it's a hard thing as a parent to go through, because naturally as parents we always want to give everything to our kids.
Right.
They started the artillery. You'll hear it. It's very loud.
Oh,
And
now. Oh my. Maybe
no,
that's why
it was already a few times while I spoke.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids, you hear it?
Mm-hmm. I do.
That's how my kids are supposed to sleep through the night. It's just started today.
I mean, look, I don't know. By the time this show comes out, I don't know what's going to be because we're right now at this point where Hamas is wow, there's so many not nice words that I could use, but I'm not going to use them, playing around with us, and everybody's playing around with us so that we won't go into Rafiah, which is right next to you, So a lot of, I don't know when this is actually aired, what's going to be, if Israel will have gone in or not. That's what's interrupting this broadcast. So we're doing our best, everybody, to make sure that the connection comes through and that you get to hear from Yedidya, who's literally on the front lines down in the south. All right, so go back to October 7th. So the kids, they're starting and the kids are not in great shape.
As a parent, you always want to do and give best to your kids.
Right.
And it's a very hard moment where the most basic thing that you want to give them, which is safety, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing them, really like hysterically crying, it's heartbreaking. Trying to hug them, try to speak to them words of faith.
Like you have a role in the community as well, right? For security role.
For security role, but I mean, today I'm on the security role on the 7th. I did not have a gun. I have the drone that Genev gave me, which I flew over the whole
Mm-hmm.
day, but I did not have a gun like a lot of
Really?
the guys. We only had limited amount of guns. And I come out and I hear indications of terrorism breaking in to different communities. And
What you're getting WhatsApps like from the first responders in different communities around you. You're all on the list together, and you're hearing what's happening in the neighboring communities.
yes, and also on the main radio line that of the communities, someone from the nearby community of Prigan goes and asks for help. They said that they have terrorists in the community, and a lot of communities heard it, and but for some reason we were the only community that decided to do this crazy act of leaving our community and going and fight in Prigan, although it didn't make the basic sense, because the basic sense is to for someone to stay in his own home and to protect his own community. But here we knew the terrorists are there starting to massacre very soon. And just like happened in Year Oz, could have happened in Prigan. There was nobody to come and protect there. The army only came at 2 o'clock. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the army came very late to the event, but our guys went, whoever had a gun went and fought the terrorists for 2 hours while the terrorists are already inside the houses of the people
God.
trying to open the bomb shelters. And by the guys from Shlomit coming to the community and making contact with with the terrorists, um, we basically managed to take out the terrorists from the community, from the houses, and fight them. And basically, by that act of heroism, our first response team saved the lives of the entire community of Prigan and the nearby
Oh,
communities. Last week, we did a special tour of different kibbutzim with the different head of securities to learn about each kibbutz and the stories from October 7th from a security standpoint. And we learned Hamas had few tip of arrows where they broke the fence and sent few special forces from their force, and they were with phones and with radios,
walkie
and whenever they
talkies.
saw
Yeah.
success, they brought everybody else. And wherever they saw that there was a strong fight against them, they just ran away, and they went elsewhere where it was easier. And that fight that took place in Prigan basically saved the entire region, because there would be 100 more coming
Mm-hmm.
if
If
they
you
saw
hadn't shown resistance,
exactly.
unbelievable. But you
And
paid a price for that.
after 2 hours of a very very heavy fight battle, we basically fortunately do even though although we saved the lives of the entire community of that region of Shalom region and Prigan, our community paid a very heavy price of 4 guys that were killed. Um, and actually, you see in the background the house that is
Mm-hmm.
behind the house
Yes.
of one of them. They're actually our next door neighbors, the Bibi family, and they actually lived in their home only for a month and a half before he was killed. Um, and 4 guys, 4 heroes that lost their lives, sacrificed their lives, so hundreds and hundreds of others can live, leaving behind 15 children
Oh,
together,
God.
or widows. Um, it was a very, very, very horrific day of October 7th and 8th. Four others were injured, two of them very critically, with very big miracles. They managed to come out of danger, and they are now
Thank
in
God.
rehabilitation. Actually, one of them, Michael Garisman, today, first time started doing, said, I cannot fight. And he opened a huge kitchen today in his home to prepare food for soldiers going into Rafah. And today they made 200 baguettes to the Shaked unit from Givati. And you see him with his hand. I can send you a picture. He cannot hardly
Please.
move, like encouraging everyone. And, he came to me and he said, Yedidya, maybe others want to help us get meat and we can make them. And Shaked unit from Givati was the unit that two soldiers were killed yesterday. And
Yes.
today they're on the border. He went, made the food, beautiful baguettes with like pargiot and like French fries and salads, like really like drinks, and gave it to them hot, fresh from the community there. And it's just like that's the beauty of our nation. And I can tell you that millions and millions and millions of people that lost their lives during the Holocaust are very proud up there from the mutual commitment that we have, from the spirit and the ruach that we show, especially during those days. Today, obviously, the Holocaust Day, and as someone who live on the border, sometimes I take a break and I look in the mirror and I see the uniform with the Israeli flag, and I say, I belong to eternity. I'm not Yedidya who belong to one moment. I zoom out and I look at the history, and I feel so fortunate and so privileged for living and sitting in my home in Israel, wearing the uniform, not being afraid that someone will come and take my head off, because we have an IDF and we have a strong homeland and we have, strong country. Yes, we went through horrific days of October 7th. And when we say never again, we mean it on October 7th as well.
Yeah.
But we have to remember that we are part of a bigger chain. And that's what gives us the strength and the justice of our pathway to continue and live here on the front lines of Israel, knowing we will prevail, we will win. Wherever we are, we're on the border with Gaza, the border with Lebanon, border with Syria, the border
Hmm.
with Bethlehem, the border with
Yes. That's what I'm
Jordan.
looking at right now. Bethlehem.
Yes,
Yes.
this is the front. This is what we are fighting for, and we have to remember it's not like we were licking honey for so many years and all of a sudden we have to fight. No, we are a nation that has the most experience in facing challenges. In all the challenges we won because we don't have any other option. We lose, we're out.
Yeah.
There is no strike one, strike two. There is no
Yeah.
zero. We
Yeah.
always have to win, and we will win. We have God with us, seeing miracles. As someone who fought for 4 months in Gaza and saw miracles with my own eyes, the fact that I'm speaking to you right now is a miracle. I was in Khan Yunis while a friend was, killed next to me in a house, face-to-face fire battle with terrorists, and the terrorists threw a hand grenade that exploded around a few soldiers, including myself. And thank God, nobody was, injured. Only one guy that was killed from the shootings that basically the terrorists surprised us from the upstairs. Um, and I should not have been, sitting and speaking to you now. And we decided after we were evacuated for 5 months in hotel, Ramim, and we decided to return to our homes. People
Hmm.
said, "Why are you going back? Why are you crazy? Stay in the hotel. Why you take your family?" And I said, "This is the victory. Coming back here and rebuilding and building and expanding the community and living in our homes and showing our kids that yes, there are challenges, but it's our home. We're never gonna leave this home. We're never gonna, once the army said it's safe to be here, we came back. Yes, there are
Hmm.
explosions, and we're explaining to the children, and there is a lot of therapy needed in the community. It's something we're also working to, to get help for.
Hmm.
but we know that these are tools that we're giving our kids to grow up, have the tools to deal with the situation, to face the challenges, and God willing, overcome those challenges.
So I'm going to embarrass you for a second because a few weeks ago, I was online. I don't know if it was on Facebook, and I think it was the manager of the Kramim spa who made it. He had a beautiful post, and that's where your community was evacuated to. And I think you had a party when you left, or some kind of meeting when you left, and he posted what he had said, and it was very funny and very beautifully written. And he was talking about how he was going to miss the first graders who were camping in his office and the kids running down the hall. He runs a spa. He wasn't prepared to have a community come and live there. And he was so, the word impressed doesn't really fit, but he fell in love with all of you, with your spirit, with your children, with their liveliness, but also with the way they behaved, with the values that you're instilling in them, to the point that he put up a whole post that, yeah, he was going to go back to being a spa now, but that those few months that you were with him had taught him so much more than he could ever imagine. And while he had given you a home, you had given him so much more. It was an absolutely beautiful testament to what your community is, even when it's not in their home, because you were under so much stress. And I saw you, I don't even know if you remember that I saw you in Gush Etzion right after you were taken out of Shlomit. Because first they brought you to the guest center in Gush Etzion before you went to Kramim. And you were totally shell-shocked. I mean, you had just lost your friends, everything had happened. And I looked at you, and it was, you were just a mirror of what so many of us were feeling, but you had actually gone through it and had come from there. And you have somehow managed to keep your community together, which is no small thing. And I know that people need therapy, and I know that this is going to be very difficult to get over. But the goals and the understanding and the bigger picture, which you so eloquently just described to us, is clear to everyone who meets you. And your community isn't just a few people living on the Egyptian border. It's a community in the sense of everything that we want it to be, that the Torah gives us the template for what it should be. And it's really awe-inspiring. I have to say that I don't even know if you know how many people are paying attention to what you're doing in Shlomit, and how this war is far from over. And you're just as involved as ever. And like you just described with your neighbor, who has every reason to just sit at home, and he wants to do, and he wants to give and give and give and give and give. It's just, there's just no words. There really no words. Do you understand that? Do you see what strength you give, but you also, surround yourself with?
Yeah. I feel that I'm very, very honored to call myself a resident of this community, to be part of the leadership of this community. As you remember, the days after October 7th were very tough days, but I've had one goal, which is to keep the community together. It was no easy task because everybody was shocked, nobody was functioning, and I found myself basically carrying everybody on my shoulders for the first 2 weeks until somehow we got some people to be involved and take charge of different things. Obviously, we would never forget the beauty of the people of Gush Etzion, of how they welcomed us with open arms and warmest heart.
Whatever we could do, from clothes. I mean, there were corners there in the tent with clothes and games, and people were dropping off hot food, like whatever. We just didn't even know what to do. We just had to help in some way. And this is while our sons and fathers and, were also, of course, leaving to help fight in the South, because as your community proved, you don't just fight for your home and your own little community. You fight for the people and for your neighbors. I mean, your friends lost their lives fighting, dying in another community. So that's just the way it is here. So there was no question that we were going to do. Those are the women and the children, whoever was left behind, we're going to do whatever we could for you. We hope we never have to again.
Amen.
That's all I can
Amen.
say.
And it's an honor, and we feel that giving is getting, giving is receiving. When you do you actually get much more than you give. And it was also acknowledged by the state of Israel. I think this heroic story has this up and coming Yom Ha'atzmaut torch. One of the torches will be lit here in Shlomit by the four widows for the act of heroism that took place on October 7th. But as you said, and people also said it, to get to a point that you leave your community to fight elsewhere, it doesn't start on October 7th.
No.
It has much deeper roots of a community of values that start much earlier, that thank God are embedded in this community of being pioneers, coming to live here from day one for that purpose and that reason. Um, and definitely, a very special community. The relationship with Elad, the manager of the Karamim Hotel, was a very special one. As someone who I remember him the first day that people walked in after leaving Gush Etzion, and he's like, seeing not seeing one child walking in into the community, into the hotel, and now 400 children running. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And so and I spoke to him a few weeks ago because of my matzah efforts, and he calls me and he says the CEO of Israel called me and asked me if there was a guy by the name of Yedidya in your hotel. So he said, of course, room number 33, 133. So he goes, how'd you know? He goes, I knew everyone.
I knew them all.
It was very, so he goes, we gotta help him. So it was very special. That relationship that was formed. He said that he misses us actually very much. He said people are very nice, but it's definitely different.
And very quiet, much quieter.
And he said a lot of people are now a lot more religious people because of you are coming to the hotel and showing gratitude. And yeah, I mean
it's just incredible. So tell us about the matzah. It's getting late, and you look exhausted, and it doesn't sound like you're going to have such a quiet night there. But tell us a little bit about the matzah, about what you actually do to earn a living when not doing all these other things.
I own a matzah bakery which I opened 2 years ago. And the matzah bakery produces matzah is from July to April. And this year, obviously, because of the war, I was in Gaza while the factory was on a shutdown for a month and a half.
Wait, explain to me. There are people who eat matzah in September and October?
No, but
it has to. Yeah, that's how long it takes to produce for Passover. Wow. Okay.
And we basically started to make matzah. Then October 7th happened. The factory was shut down for a month and a half. Then came back to work. I was in Gaza. I couldn't take care of any of the sales or anything, but they kept on producing.
Where is it, the factory?
Netivot, on the border with Gaza, north here. And I came out and I got out of the army on beginning of March without one even matzah that was sold. A lot of the orders that we had prior was canceled. And I started asking people for help. A lot of amazing people, put a hand and helped us. One rabbi from Connecticut helped me export matzah to the United States, whole container. Someone from New Hampshire helped me sell a big portion of it. Rabbi Goldberg from Boca Raton bought a big portion of it and helped me. And then JNF helped with buying a big portion for evacuees in Israel. So it was really a special campaign that we ran. We saw the beauty of Am Israel. There was sell points in different places in Israel. A lot of people from different cities like Ra'anana, Bet Shemesh, Modi'in, Efrat, bought matzah in the north, in the south. Thank God, a lot of help. And now we're doing the accounting to see if we survived. Obviously, we still have some matzah left. Someone called me the other day and said that some non-Jews want to buy it as a Bible bread even after Pesach. So we're looking to see maybe.
Oh, maybe some of my listeners, if anybody wants to write to me. I'll get you Yedidya's information. You can have matzah in May. Okay.
Yeah, non-Jews, actually, it's incredible. It's really
Yes.
special, and if people want to buy, we still have a lot of left, and we would love to help sell it so we can, be able to sell out from the last year.
A lot of people don't realize how the reserves who went in. I mean, you're obviously not 18 years old and you're not in the army as your regular service. You're going in as a reserve soldier. A lot of people left businesses behind. They weren't getting salaries that then somebody covered. If you were a carpenter or a matzah maker or something that physically needs you there, a lot of people, or a photographer, a lot of people have come back and are having financial difficulties after months of serving the country. So something's definitely going to have to be done, because that can't be. That can't be. The people leave their families, are willing to sacrifice their lives, sometimes do, and fall into financial dire straits as well. So there is a lot for us to do here. But like you, I couldn't be anywhere else or living with any other people or part of a greater mission than we're doing right now. So, Yedidya Harush, first of all, thank you, which doesn't even begin. I'm glad I fed you all those cookies way back when. It was a good investment. But really, it's so proud of you. Just take care of yourself and all the people around you. I know that you will. And I'll be back. Maybe I'll get a bus together before it gets too hot, and I'll come down to Shlomit and visit.
Hot has two meanings nowadays.
Yes.
And I'm speaking, I'm sitting outside. The pergola is about to collapse on my head because of the explosions, and we're just praying we can have a quieter night so we can sleep. But on the other hand, we want the IDF
To finish.
to finish. And as we're speaking, I hear these explosions all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to be able to finish the job so we can have quiet for longer
and get our hostages home and just finish with this evil once and for all. We'll see how that happens. But meantime, day to day.
Right, correct.
Thank you so much, Yedidya. Thank you to all my listeners. You know, we're doing this by Zoom, this interview, so you're only hearing the audio, but Yedidya and I are actually seeing each other, and I'm seeing the background. I'm seeing him looking up. I'm hearing the explosions in the back, which I don't know if it's coming through, and it's not a 4th of July, fireworks show by any stretch of the imagination. It's to not be bombastic. It's a battle for the civilization of the world is happening about a kilometer from where Yedidya is sitting. So may the good guys win. May Hashem protect all of us. And thank you to all of Israel's armed forces in any uniform that they're in, and some who are not, for giving of themselves so selflessly, so that most of us can just go about our routine days in some sense of quiet and from peace. Am Yisrael Chai. After all those years and after Holocaust Remembrance Day, we're saying it again, that never again is now. And we mean it. Absolutely. Take care, everybody. Thanks to Tabitha and to Ben, Eve Harow, Rejuvenation on the Land of Israel Network. Take care, everyone, and goodbye for now.